Like if I used to do a podcast, and you could always tell how little people thought people listen to my podcast by how much shit they talk. You know what I mean? Like, they talk shit openly. It's like, oh, he thinks no one's listening to this.
This guy's giving names and locations.
When they say the N-word on your podcast, that's when they really know you. They have no belief in you.
That's like the equivalent of wearing a bomb.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I'm going to blow myself up. And you go, you're on a bus. You're going to take out a lot of people with you.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not going to take out anyone.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm not worried about no one. I'm just dying alone in the desert. And then it's funny to think about like having footage of that and then sending them a clip and being like, FYI.
Just wait.
Yeah, this is called the Snitch Podcast. Where just let you know, we're going to blackball you.
That'd be a good idea for podcasts. You do like really early podcasts with comics where they get like, you get them to be really irreverent and then you only put it out once they get big. The cancel podcast?
Yeah. And they go, wait, I don't remember doing this. And you go, I got you drunk. We went up to that studio.
Remember, you were an open micer. You didn't think there was consequences. You never make it.
You never thought you would see these people. And they're like, hey, I can't do that.
Now you're in Hollywood.
Yeah. You're like, can you really? And then we do this because you think we're not recording.
Well, that's the other thing. The more successful you get, the less you can talk shit because you might know the people. You know what I mean? I
forgot where I saw someone talk about Lorne Michaels says that to people.
Yeah, it's like
he says you're gonna meet these people.
Yeah, I'm not doing that great.
Yeah,
I won't talk shit about like Joe List. That's my level.
Yeah, well, he's your friend. He's your friend, so I'd hope. That's always weird. I think in the entertainment industry where you meet people who are like just start shit talking someone they know, and you're like, who are you? You know that person. They're like, yeah, but and you're like, oh fuck.
Well, at least hide it from them. Yeah. I won't name the comic, but I saw a comic. I'll name him afterwards. You're probably good. He was talking to a comedian who just had like a TV show that got canceled, and he was talking to another comedian like in front of me, like just talking about how the show was awful and deserved to be canceled. And then I watched him immediately message that comedian who had the show being like, I'm really sorry. The show was great. I'm like, don't do it in front of me.
You don't do it all at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, that's like leaning in. You know what I mean?
You're eating while you're pooping.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all one continuous thing. That's why I understand when people are like, I don't want to hear about the business, because everyone knows anyone in entertainment is phony to a certain point.
Yeah, of course.
Because I think now people who, we listen to podcasts, we watch TV shows, everyone's way more savvy now.
Yeah.
They know. They're like, that's probably not.
I'm not great at it. I will tell my feelings about everyone.
Yeah, because you're genuine.
Yeah, but
you're a very genuine person.
It's bad. I'm like, my girlfriend's like, you should be mindful of that. But in my head, I'm like, no one spreads.
If you were a rapper, you would be getting so much heat. You'd be like, dude, Raanan's straight for the streets. This guy goes out there and just buckles people.
I don't know. I don't assume there are people. Like, I always have a shit talking code where you never tell the person you talk shit about them. First of all, that's the enemy. The bad guy's the one who spreads it.
Yes.
But I forget those people do exist.
But that I think that exists in offices. That exists on construction sites.
Yeah.
That's just human nature.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, this person did this. But the unspoken code is, you don't go say it to them. Have you ever talked shit to someone and then found out they're friends with the person?
That's bad.
And you have to pivot.
Well, what's really fun.
You have to pivot mid-conversation where you go, well, I don't really mean all of that. He's like, yeah, it's my first cousin. And you go,
what's really fun. I had this once. I was on a road tour with a bunch of comics, and we're all just talking shit about people. Yeah. But we don't know each other that well, so it's a little dangerous.
Dude.
It's a little and then one of them, we should do a Patreon where I just name all these people.
I would love it.
I'll just say the names.
Oh, man. But it'd be an expensive Patreon. Because what you need is you call it the retirement fund Patreon. Because you go, if we do name names, I will have to go into hiding. I cannot be public. Yeah.
But you put it out like when you die.
Yeah, just be like, release it.
But yeah, it was, we were all talking shit, but it's like, it's a little dangerous. And then one of the comics talks shit about someone who the other comic like not only loved, but opens for.
Yeah.
And it got so awkward.
Have you ever had to stand up for someone that's being talked about before? Because there's a political way to do it where you go, all right, I'm kind of buddies with him, he's cool. But then there's sometimes, and again, join the Patreon that we have coming to know, and I'll tell you names after, but there was a moment where someone was talking about my friend, and I went, hey, like, I'm friends with him.
I think that's really good and really loyal.
But it's weird. By the way, it
gets
ruins.
awkward.
Well, no, it ruins
shit.
the hang.
Yeah.
Because they go like, oh, okay. Well, you basically go like, I'm on that side. And they go, well, shit.
It gets awkward. I mean, it's good. It's loyal. I mean, it's a tough thing because you're being loyal to someone who's not there. So you're really making your situation you're in right then very awkward.
Oh, dude,
in support of someone who doesn't know about it.
I had a moment when I did my HBO special in 2019, and HBO sets up like a press run.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we're going to reach out because, they have way farther reach than me or anybody, a publicist I can hire.
It's probably even around now, but yeah.
Now it is. Well, now the industry's RIP. We have more power. We have more reach.
Now that you
power.
Started this podcast, you're a little ahead of the game.
Yeah.
A little ahead of HBO.
But HBO was like, they set up all these interviews with magazines I didn't know or people I didn't know. And it was right after Shane got fired from SNL.
Yeah.
And we're like talking about it, and they tried to use Shane as a bad example, like an example of like, well, and I had to go like, that's my friend.
Yeah. Well,
I think the line was,
yeah.
You've been loosely associated with Shane Gillis. And I was like, oh, loosely? That's like one of my best friends. And then watching that woman's face change.
But that was an interview or what?
It was an interview.
Well, that I totally get.
Well, what happened was, and I'm going to remind Koppelman when he's on our podcast, it changed the interview.
Really?
Because she was like, oh, like she got like, oh, so you're, and I was like, here's what you don't understand when you're writing these pieces. We're all friends.
Right.
And what I said to her was, I was like, I had, in my green room at my special taping, I had Shane Gillis and Michelle Wolf.
Yeah.
Because Michelle was the darling from the White House Correspondents' Dinner at the time.
Yeah.
So I go, so you love her, but you hate him.
Yeah.
So make that math work on how we could all be hanging out as friends.
Yeah, because we are the community, not you.
Exactly. And then I told that because I went and was filming an episode of Billions, and I went and told Koppelman that, and Koppelman goes, she's gonna bury you. And he said it with such like a judge hands down a sentence.
Was this like a magazine article? Or
yeah,
like, yeah.
And then she did.
She did? She made you look really bad?
Dude, she took me out of context and made me look like an asshole. And I was like,
Dan Soder, friend to racists.
Yes. Well, you know what I said is
KKK apologist.
I think in the article what I said to her was, I said, this is the problem with comedy is now it's been gentrified by unfunny people.
Right.
I said, you have a bunch of unfunny people telling funny people what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
And she eliminated the whole back half and made it look like I said, comedy's been gentrified, and it made it look like I was talking about black and brown people.
Right.
And you're like, I was like, no, not at all. That's not at all what I meant. I meant unfunny people. But when she said that, I was like, when he was like that, like she's gonna cook you. I was like, nah. Oh, all right. And then it like
just for defending him, huh?
Yeah. But I also got a little fired up.
Yeah.
As we do when shit talking happens.
Well, here's the thing about like not funny people when they don't realize it. It's a hard thing to talk about, but racism is funny. It doesn't mean you agree with it. It's funny because it's so absurd.
That's exactly it.
But that's funny.
All stupidity is funny.
Yeah.
If you want to do one of those word problems, all stupidity is funny. Racism is a form of stupidity.
Yeah,
therefore, it's a form of funny.
Yeah.
You just have to walk it out.
Yeah, and it's like...
Now, it's also two whites saying that. But...
I'm Jewish. That's something.
There you go. The shields come up immediately. I'm looking for one. I'm like, Irish, that's broken. Swedish, nothing. I'm like looking what I can hide behind.
Jews, I'm like a shapeshifter. I'm like X-Men. Who's the shapeshifter?
Yeah, morph.
I'm like, I'm a minority now.
Yeah, like I form... Transformers.
I was white before when we were talking about now I'm a minority.
You're like Hebrews in disguise. And you're like,
you're like Irish, that's something. We were slaves, right? Fuck
dude,
you.
We always do that. And then you reach for my dad's family's white trash. And they're like, nah, it doesn't work.
Oh, can I plug my special? I got to remember to...
I love it.
Yeah, sorry. That ruined everything.
No. You know what it is, though? I just watched your Jewish brain work. I just watched your brain go. Make the plug before the ship goes down. No. Go to the safe. Grab the money.
I'm the opposite. I forget to plug. Like,
no, we always make sure.
I'll go on like Jim and Sam, and we'll just talk about like transgender people for an hour and like dildos. Then I'm like, well, I was supposed to plug
You're just
something.
Jim hot. You're just trying to turn on Jim.
But anyway, you can see my special now because you know
yeah. This will be released when your special's out.
Yeah, it's called Brave. And it's on YouTube. Check it out now.
Raanan is a phenomenal stand-up comedian. I mean, I'm talking about a comics comic. I love watching him. You're one of those guys that you watch and immediately you go, fuck, I got to try harder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. Crazy. You got great jokes.
You're the best, man.
Great jokes.
Your special was just unbelievable.
Thanks, man.
I think you're very... you are successful, but you're underrated, I think.
Thanks.
You know what I mean?
That gets tossed around, and it's been tossed around enough that I go.
I don't know. Do you have bittersweet feelings
well,
about
you start
that?
going like after a while, I go, all right. Well, but no one cares about you, and you go, yeah, that's what we're trying to change.
It's tough. What's underrated because you're basically saying other people don't like you.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like you.
Underrated is the after the comedy show. I liked it.
Yeah. There was a moment.
No, but I just mean you're like so great. It's
Thanks,
like
man. I appreciate it.
Your last special. I mean, like I died laughing, and like
that means a lot to me because
it's so rare.
You know, I think just at the very heart of this, and I know people hate comedy talk, but at the very like baseline of this is it's just like I want to be as funny as I can be, and when other funny people think I'm funny, it feels very good.
Yeah.
When people are like, I don't want people to think I'm infallible. I don't want people to think I'm a revolutionary. But when people are just like, yeah, you're funny, you're like, thanks, man. That's all I really wanted.
Yeah, you have, I think, from talking to you, a little low self-esteem about how good you are. You like think you're like a hack. And you're like brilliant.
I don't think I'm a hack as much as I'm unsatisfied.
Unsatisfied.
Every time I have a show, there's very few times where I'm like, that was good.
Yeah, you don't think you're a hack, but
there's moments I feel good about, but overall, I'm like, I think my writing could be stronger. I think this,
your writing is great.
Because I think I love stand-up so much that I'm comparing it to ghosts. It's like when you're chasing ghosts, it never is enough.
I think you're better than a lot of the people who you think you're better than.
I appreciate that. My own brain will not absorb that.
Because I think you like want to be like an autistic one-liner comic, but you're just like, you're just,
I genuinely do.
You're just legitimately hilariously funny to the point where it's actually what comedy should do, where you are a great writer, but you're not even thinking about that. You're just dying laughing.
Yeah.
You actually succeed way beyond that. You're like,
I feel like my therapist paid you to say all this. I feel like Alan was downstairs giving you $100.
I have Alan too.
You do?
Yeah.
Today?
Not today.
I had a good one with him this morning.
Yeah, they're good. He's very good.
Therapy is, and I said at the end of therapy, I was like, man, this should be mandatory.
Well,
this should be like jury duty.
Especially in New York. I feel
well, you're crunched with so many people. I would even say though,
anywhere.
Rural people should
honestly, modern life.
The human brain, and I was reading this article today about, there's a study that psychologists, and I want to actually quote it so people just go, oh yeah, you read an article, but I had it saved because there's stuff that I find where I'm like, oh, I want to talk to Raanan about this, but they were saying that teenagers, there's a thing now where people are saying cell phones are destroying teenagers at a rate that they never expected because they're saying they don't have any self-identity. Oh, it's all right.
It's destroying it right now.
I like that. I go, the phones know, dude. They're turning against us. Man, sometimes I'll have these stone thoughts, and I tried bringing it up on Rogan, and it didn't go anywhere, but I meant it.
By the way, nothing ages you more than calling them cell phones.
Oh, fuck. I know. Your cellular telephone?
I've been reading a book about these cellular mobile phones.
Oh, you have a mobile phone. But I brought it up on Rogan where I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if this was alien weaponry. If this was like, if aliens knew like, oh, we can affect their emotions. These are monkeys. We can affect their emotions. They'll destroy each other or themselves. We don't have to take over their world.
Well, people have that theory about, you remember 2001, the monoliths? The thing in 2001, it's like it looks like an iPhone.
Yeah.
And people are like, Stanley Kubrick knew what was happening.
They always
As opposed to the obvious thing that a nerd who's a fan of that modeled the iPhone after
maybe
that.
Steve Jobs was like,
maybe it's more likely that Steve Jobs heard of 2001 over Stanley Kubrick heard of the future.
Yeah, that he could predict. Maybe that's it. Maybe you do the math correctly and you realize, oh, Steve Jobs saw the movie. But a social psychologist, Jonathan Haidt.
I love him. He has a new book.
The Anxious Generation. Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about.
I've read a bunch of his books. I love him. Yeah.
Well, in his new book, he says that kids should have no limit. They should have no access or little access to phones until they're 16.
Yeah,
which makes sense because the studies done about football with brain damage, CTE, scientists years ago said people shouldn't play full contact football until they're 14 or 15 because of the development of the brain.
Yeah.
That if you're slamming it around.
Which means you should never play it.
Yeah. Don't get there yet. We'll get there eventually. But I love football too much.
I know.
So right now, let us have fun.
That might be the follow through at some point.
That's going to be the follow. Yes, it is. It's like anything.
When something's bad for your brain at 15, it's probably also bad for your brain.
Yeah, you're talking right now entirely about my relationship with alcohol, where I knew I was going to have to quit.
Yeah.
And then when the moment came, you're like, I knew this was inevitable.
But you got to have a little fun before.
You got to have fun with it. You got to smash into some people until then. Break some eggs to make an omelet. But the American Psychological Association said in a new report that social media platforms for designs that are inherently unsafe for children, saying that children do not have the experience, judgment, and self-control to manage themselves on those platforms. And you go, I know. I'm 40 and I don't have that. I can't control myself.
Well, it's the same thing. It's like it's bad for us.
Yeah.
Too. It's not like, I feel like,
and people are watching this on a phone right now, and so it's like this weird thing of like,
off of a phone.
Yeah, I just went.
My phone rang in the middle of it.
My ears just start bleeding. But it does. You feel fucking nuts. You're like, well, then what do we? You can't go back to not having phones.
It's tough because it's like one of social media is kind of like the new cigarette company, or the new like Sackler family, you know?
Yeah, which I've seen jokes about, which are great. I've seen a couple people do jokes about cell phones are like cigarettes,
but they can hide it behind this thing like you can't stop the future. Cigarettes could never be like, hey, this is the future. Like,
well, they should have. Honestly, you wonder if tobacco guys go, we should have gone. You can't stop cool. No matter what you do, can't stop getting pussy when you smoke cigarettes.
With the Oxycontin Sackler family.
Oh yeah, they're like, hey, you can't stop feeling amazing.
This is the future. We're all gonna be high. You can't stop it.
Dude, the Sackler family remains one of those people where when I'm bored at an airport, I just like to go check in on their social medias because you see them trying to post like they're regular people, and there's a couple of them you can find them, and they'll be like, "Lovely day for a vacation," and then one of their comments is like, "You have blood money," and you're like, "Good, like that comment, drive that in the algorithm." Just being like, "Fuck you." It's so funny to think of like. If like Joseph Goebbels' kids had like social media.
Right, how much they get.
And they're just like, oh, south of France. Love that we took it over.
I don't want to hear any propaganda from you or generate for you people.
You fucking wiped out 6 million of my people. And they're like, hey guys, don't forget.
I know. Someone met a Sackler. Who was it? Someone met someone. Maybe it was Louis C.K. or someone. Someone met us or had a Sackler. Maybe it was Joe List. There was a Sackler woman was in the Sackler family right next to them on the first class.
No way.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, I've got so many questions. Well, there was one, the greatest.
It sucks that anti-Semitism is very real.
Yeah.
But so is the evil of certain Jews.
Said by a Jew. All right, industry.
But, I mean, of
if
course.
you ever come back, understand.
But of course, there's horrible people in any.
Yeah, but there's like. Yeah. That's why. You can't say one group is all good or all bad.
No, everyone's everything.
There's like there's like books that I have about, there's a book called The Heart of Everything That Is about the Western Sioux. And in the beginning of the book, they go like, hey, don't do this thing where you think Native Americans are all... we just ate off the lands or whatever. They were super. Some tribes were super into gang rape and murder. And you're
also like if you read what's it called, *Sapiens*, they talk so much about how Native Americans, or not.
Dude, Katie had to put that book down because it was bumming her out. Every chapter, she's like, "God, we're just inevitably."
But it's also really funny. Like I don't know, he has like these really good stand-up premises.
Really?
Yeah, that it was like you're almost like tempted to be like, "Should I use this?" But it's like it's feeling. He had a whole premise. I think it eventually did. Become a Mark Norman, not that he took it from it. I think something similar to something he said, but like it was a whole joke about like it's amazing that it's all about like how we all need like myths to like develop civilization. It's like amazing when we're on trial, we swear that we will not lie on a book full of lies.
Yeah, that's funny.
And I'm like, that's a good stand-up premise.
That's a great stand-up premise. But it is. I mean, I think there's like this whole thing of you try to take the past and make it be like, well, everyone was good. You know, I had that with my dad. My dad was a horrible dad. Alcoholic, abandoned me.
That's how he went from global to real personal.
But I think the example, that's how you make it. That's how you put feelings into it. But I remember when my dad died when I was like 14, I was like, nah, he was the best. He was funny. He was cool. And then as you get older, you go like, oh, no, oh, shit, no. And I think that's like any group or anything in general.
Of course,
there's good and bad on all of it.
Yeah,
and so like to think that like, because, I think a lot of people, when you look at how Native Americans just basically had their land stolen and just taken from them, were like, oh, but they were so into nature and they believed. And then you go, well, they also had their bad parts.
Yeah, of course. There was the
you said that about Jews. You're like, yeah, the Jews have been persecuted, but also they've done some
for
stuff.
every Anne Frank, there's a Jeffrey Epstein.
Put that on a mug. just neo-Nazis have their thing where they go, hey, I have my cup of Joe in the morning.
Jews are, I don't know why, but we are disproportionately successful, But other groups are too. Indians in America are disproportionately successful.
Yeah, that's why it's always
not Native Americans. Those are not.
Yeah, no, they have been stomped on. Let's just for the record show.
But the problem, if you're successful, you're going to have really good successful people, and then the Jeffrey Epstein, who is successful at what he did. Jews,
he had a ton of money.
Jews are successful. He had a plan.
You know what it is? Greed is inevitable.
Yeah.
In any group,
power corrupts anyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. There's a reason all these
Except
sayings.
for Israel, that did not happen in Israel.
Hi, person on the internet. It's Dan Soder, stand-up comedian and guy that wants you to come see me do stand-up comedy on the road. I feel like if I point, it does a lot more. It's a lot more efficient, but also maybe not. I'm on Burt Kreischer's Fully Loaded tour, 3 weeks in June, touring the country with some of the best comics working. It's just a giant party. Check out all the dates at dansoder.com. If you're in the area, buy a ticket. And then Indianapolis, July 18th through the 20th, I will be at Helium Comedy Club in Indy for 5 shows. Buy tickets right now. July 25th through July 27th, I'm going to be at the Addison Improv outside of Dallas. Hey, everybody. What if in 2024 you got a little bit better every day? When you're learning a new language with Babbel, that's exactly what you're doing. And if Babbel can help you start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks, imagine what you can do in a full year. Babbel's designed by real people for real conversation. It's got tips and tools that are approachable, accessible, and rooted in real-life situations and delivered with conversation-based teaching. So you're ready to practice what you've learned in the real world. It's convenient. Dude, these courses can help you learn real-life conversation skills in a new language. So that's what you need if you're going to go on vacation. You're not trying to learn how to conjugate, sound all formal. You're trying to sound like you actually know the language. Here's a special limited time deal for our listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/Soder. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/Soder. Spelled BABBEL.com/Soder. Rules and restrictions may apply. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Guys, the year is halfway through. Isn't that insane to say? It's halfway done. That's frustrating, but also there's been some cool stuff. Something that I'm always glad I do is therapy. Each week, every week, I go in and I talk to a therapist and I get just advice. I get insight. Sometimes I just have someone to let the steam off to. And I think that is really what helps me a lot, is having someone to connect with that doesn't have any personal interest in my life besides being there to listen and to help me. I can't tell you how much I've benefited through therapy. And I don't try to push it too hard, but I'm pushing it on you right now. I'm telling you, you probably could benefit from therapy. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. Entirely online, it's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You're just going to fill out a brief questionnaire, you get matched with a therapist, and then you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Take a moment, visit BetterHelp.com/Soder today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Soder. Let's get back to the show. My grandma had this neighbor who's just a racist.
Yeah.
She's just flat out a racist. After 3 conversations, you're like, oh, this lady hates black people. This lady hates Native Americans. There's stuff
even
where you
Native
go,
Americans?
Dude,
that's a real racist. When you're not even
a kind of apologetic.
Wiping them all out didn't take away the anger at all.
And I won't give up her name. I'm tempted to. But her line exactly was well, you give them these casinos and they don't want to work. And you go, hey, I don't know if you've read the history books.
Yeah.
This was I don't know, a door prize.
Yeah,
like casinos were kind of like, here you go. It's like a tip on the way out. You're like, there you go. But I was like, oh, you're crazy. But then she would always, when I would push back on one of her thoughts, she would immediately go, thinking I was liberal.
Yeah.
So she would try to move on that space.
Yeah.
So when I took that away from her, when I was like, well, I'm not.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm apolitical. I don't believe in any of it.
Yeah.
Watching their old brains try to be like,
I know how to figure that out.
but I gotta go because the other side of it, and I think like that's the damage they're talking about with phones. It's like kids are being
good and bad dichotomy with everything.
Yeah, but they're like, oh, all of this is good, all of this is bad, all of this is all the time.
Oppressors, everything.
There's no permanence in anything.
Yeah.
And everyone forgets that.
Yeah, we live.
It's like when you see successful comics and you see them change, and you go, well, "You're going to come down. You're going to come back down."
Sure.
And they're like, "No, I'm not. I'm flying so high." And you're like, "You're going to come back down." And then they come back down, and some of them become human again.
Yeah.
And some of them are broken. They're just broken because they're like, no. Every door. It's like having a lob to open doors. You see this with athletes and hot chicks the most.
Right.
Where they go, well, no, this got me in every door. And then they get old and they're not hot anymore. And they're like, it's not working anymore. Or like athletes when they're like, when you're the quarterback of the NFL team and everyone loves you, but then you're 6 years retired and you don't have anything.
Which is the worst. I mean, it's better to just not have that in the first place.
But you know what I mean? But that's exactly with like power or fame.
Certain comics like get successful. Like if I ever got like really successful, I would definitely be like, this is not going to last very long.
Dude.
Let me just, I'd worry the whole time.
I would be a nervous wreck.
It would be awful.
More than when I was dead broke.
But then,
I'd be like, fuck.
But then other psychos who get successful are like, this is my manifest destiny.
Yeah.
The vision bird worked.
Yeah, they're like, aha. It's exactly it. Dude, I think about that all the time when people even compliment like us, a nice apartment, and you go, it's going to go away. Yeah, you just immediately, you're like, I'll be back to living in a windowless room in Queens in no time. Because I think that is, you get comfortable.
Yeah.
And you go like, well, this is just going to last forever, but nothing does.
Right.
So you just are like, I would say, if anything, success leads to inevitable disappointment.
But then there's other people who get too, like Norman's like, it's all going to go away. I only have $2 billion in the bank. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you almost want to grab, that's a great point. You want to grab him and go.
Be like, you're good. You made it.
I was trying to make this point to my mom on the phone today where I was saying like, because I told my mom, I was like, your generation's got to let go of power.
Yeah.
Like, can you guys stop?
Yeah.
Like, can we get a Gen X presidential nominee? Can we get like...
Well, it's because people live too long.
That's
the problem. Like, people used to be dead by like 70. So now everyone's like 95. They're not going anywhere.
And they're functioning.
Yeah.
And they're like not old school 90.
Yeah,
which is just a bag of bones.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like new. It's like it's a new species.
Yeah.
You never had this. You never had an 80-year-old, 85-year-old president.
Jacked. There's some 80-year-olds out there that
Robert
are jacked.
Kennedy's like jacked. He's like,
look how much I lift.
It's like, this didn't happen. This is a new species.
Old people, bananas are supposed to go bad.
Yeah,
and then you have these bananas that don't go bad.
Well, you're like maybe that Midsommar had a point where they throw them off the cliff. You know, like you want to like.
I get it. I get
just
it.
to keep from old politicians.
Give me a Viking funeral. If I knew that was coming, I'd be doing heroin. I'd be like getting ready for it.
Once Trump is the spring chicken at like 78 or whatever the fuck, it's like we've gone. This is insane.
We've entered it, and I also think retirement has stopped.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. No one,
people don't want to get off.
No one will. It's like when an old person like has to stop driving. They never decide for themselves.
Dude, my grandmother.
Yeah, you have to kill like 4 people, and then they sit you down.
Yeah,
and that's politics in America. Yeah. You have to kill 4 people.
You have to start a war, and you're like, this is horrible. You killed a lot of people.
Because people don't stop on their own. They can't, because that's your meaning, your purpose. No one wants to stop that.
Well, it's shutting off the part of your brain that got you anyway.
Yeah. It's like Doug Stanhope had a bit about how like Jake LaMotta was still like doing these weird solo shows. Yeah, and he's like, I need to get like, you need someone to stop you, because if you don't, you'll just keep on. I'll be performing at 98 and not realizing, you know.
But that's also the part we're talking about with success, where you get so successful and you have money and the people around you are getting money that they don't want to cut off the money that's going to them by being honest with the person. Because we can both name about 5 people in comedy right now that need better people around them to go, shut the fuck up. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Maybe don't do that.
Well, those people are just as complicit. For every psycho celebrity or whatever, there's all the people around them who just yes them to get money. And then you have this, so much of Hollywood or anything is you have a crazy, traumatized narcissist at the center who's just like insane.
Yeah.
And then all these people just feeding money off of them and just telling them what they want to hear, just making them crazier. So it's like it's all just these individual narcissists with these birds that feed off the alligator's teeth, like all circling around them, being like, yeah, you are the greatest. Yeah, you can,
In a way, you know how everyone, they love to go, the funny thing, I think it's funny, even though the concept of it's very dark, is the adrenochrome, how like they're like the cabal of pedophiles. They take children and they scare them, and then they feast.
What is this?
It's like a lot of right-wing like QAnon shit. Yeah. Is they're like, they scare children and then they drink their fear is basically the idea from their adrenal glands. They like...
Well, this all stems from blood libel, which my great-grandfather was a victim of.
Wait, what?
So blood libel is a super anti-Semitic conspiracy. All conspiracies originate with anti-Semitism.
With the Jews.
That's why anytime there's a conspiracy, at a certain point...
It goes to the 12 tribes.
Yeah, because Jews are the glue that holds the conspiracy together. At a certain point, you're like, there's like a hole, and you're like, well, that, and then people point out the hole, and you go, oh, the Jews.
They go like, they're like making a conspiracy, and they go, hand me the Jew glue?
Yeah, Jew glue, hand me the Jew glue. That's always... So blood libel is this... it started in the Middle Ages. Basically, a kid...
Blood boy. Yeah.
A kid would be found dead, like in Europe in the Middle Ages, maybe like in, I think the first one was in England, and they would accuse the Jews of killing the kid and using their blood for matzah on Passover. And then they would, a lot of times, destroy a whole town because of it.
Because they'd be like, you did? Because if you hear that, if you're in any way a decent human being, or just a human being, you hear that, you go like, they're killing kids for this fucking ritual?
Yeah, for burn fucking matzah? Yeah, matzah's not even good to begin with.
Crackers? Kill them.
Yeah, you get angry.
At least Ritz are buttery. Well, there's an article in the New York Post about a tech tycoon who spends $2 million per year to retain youth. He uses his teen son as blood boy. An anti-aging zealot spends $2 million a year in a quest to turn back the time. He turns his son into his personal blood boy. He wants to keep his internal organs, including his penis and rectum, functioning. That's crazy. He enlisted a 17-year-old Talmadge to provide blood transfusions. So that's just like swapping out your blood.
Thing, or what is this?
At a clinic near Dallas last month, Johnson, his 70-year-old dad, Richard, in Talmadge, showed up for an hours-long tri-generational blood swapping treatment.
So he takes the blood from his kid?
Yeah.
Well, this is very different than blood libel.
Yeah, that's blood libel. You know what's funny?
I might have once again made this about Judaism when it wasn't about it.
But I think you're...
I may have put anti-Semitism into something that wasn't.
Which is, kind of what you guys are good at doing that. Also, if we're being honest, there's good and bad. Yeah. You guys are pretty good at turning that on sometimes. Yeah.
I may have done the old...
You're anti-Semitic, and you go, I don't know, we're kind of talking about something different. You go, CTE, that's anti-Semitic. You go, no, that's actually brain science. But this idea that, like, they use people to feast off their shit, that's celebrity. You're like, what you're talking about, you're just like making it more fanatical.
Right.
But you're not wrong. It's what you were saying about a narcissist at the middle.
Well, a celebrity, like
a broken person who is like, their light is beaming.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of in their light and they go, well, I don't want to turn this light off. And you go, well, that person's going nuts.
Yeah. But they're like, we need the money.
And you see that so many times.
It's almost... Most celebrities, what you need to be like a famous person, like you need to be talented and have been abused somehow as a child.
Or neglected.
You need something that made you feel invisible, in which you have this itch, that we all have the itch a little to feel visible.
Anybody in the entertainment industry has
But those people have that itch to a huge degree, and they will do anything to like feed that itch. To scratch it. Feed the itch. What the fuck am I talking about?
Oh, listen, if that was anti-Semitic that I said that, I just want to apologize.
I'm mixing metaphors here. But
oh God, did I do it? I'm such a goy. I never know.
But and then you have And I've been one of those people. I've been one of those people around a crazy person, but I really want money from them.
It's also, what's crazy about it is I've watched a couple people that I know that are very famous, that have gotten famous, that maybe I knew before they were famous, and maybe they haven't changed.
Right.
But it's the people around them that I don't know that gross me out.
Yeah. No, they're just as complicit.
And you know,
more so.
We've been around big comics.
Yeah.
And you kind of see it's like the one or two homeless pimps is nodding his head because he's like, this is, trust me, brother, I'm in the cut. I see this shit a lot. But you get around it, and like, I don't know if people understand that. When you see someone go crazy that's famous, know it's because there's about 5 or 6 people that are stopping them from settling down.
Right, exactly.
They're going, no, we got to get you back on the road.
Get back on the road.
Like Britney Spears, everyone goes, what happened to Britney? She's dancing with knives. And you go, check the 5 people around her.
They never get in trouble, the 5 people around
It's always Britney.
Yeah, it's
Britney's nuts. And you go, who were the 5 people?
And it's the same thing with the Me Too shit. The people who got... Kevin Spacey goes down, as he should, but what about all the people who hid shit, who indulged him? Like, those people get away scot-free every time.
Harvey Weinstein's secretary heard that shit, knew that shit.
That's right. This woman should have been in trouble for it, not Harvey Weinstein.
And that's how you solve problems, misogyny. You just keep on, it's like 3-card Monty. You're like, hey, here's the ball.
He just went straight for the woman. And that woman who worked for him, she's the woman he probably abused too. She's the real villain.
She's the problem. But you really see like all humans suck.
Yeah, but a lot go away scot-free.
But that's where I get annoyed.
Yeah, it sucks.
Is you go like, it is him, but it's also
because those people almost kind of can't help it because they're psychos.
Yeah, you know who I think it is? It's anyone that winks when shaking your hand.
Yeah.
How you doing? All right. Yeah, and you go, you're probably trying to feed off one of my friends. Oh, buddy. Sometimes we get these ads, and, you know, I use them, and I'm like, oh, it was great, and I liked it. I'm telling you right now, the perfect gene rules. I like it so much I want to cuss, but the perfect gene has asked me not to cuss. It rules. I love my perfect jeans. Comfortable. They are not too tight, not too loose. They just fit perfectly. You just feel like you're putting on a good pair of jeans when you put them on. They have like the comfort of sweatpants with the feeling of khaki. So you don't feel like, oh, I'm just wearing sweatpants. You feel like you're wearing jeans, but you feel like you're wearing very comfortable, perfectly fitting jeans. I got these wide hips and this flat butt, so it's hard for me to find jeans that actually fit me well, but the perfect jean nails it. And then it's not just that they do jeans, okay? They've revolutionized t-shirts as well. The perfect jean is just enough stretch to hide that beer belly in their t-shirts while accentuating your arms and chest for that flawless look. The perfect jean always has free shipping. That's massive. So if you order it, you just know you're going to get it shipped for free. And they also have free exchange and returns. You can have peace of mind knowing that your order is completely risk-free. It's finally time to start crushing your balls in uncomfortable jeans by go to theperfectjean.nyc. Our listeners get 15% off your first order plus free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges, as I just said, when you use the code SODER15. Use SODER15 at checkout. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectjean.nyc with promo code SODER15. SODER15 is the code you're going to need. Remember that. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Fuck your khakis. Go get the perfect jean. The perfect jean rules, and I really mean that. I need more perfect jeans. Perfect jean.
Exactly. I mean, like, yeah, Kevin Spacey is a psycho, but then what about the guy who like went onto the film crew and was like, hey, I know he grabbed your balls earlier. Sorry. Can you just keep it to yourself?
How much money do you need? How much money do you need for us to forget
They're all still there in Hollywood.
There's people that...
like, none of them got in trouble.
No.
That's the new thing, the Me Too accomplishes.
Yeah. Also, I would go even further to say the people that serve up the NDA. The people that go, hey, I need you to sign something. And you go, what are you doing? You know what I mean? There's a lawyer that drafted that.
I know.
There's a guy that's like, and if he fucks you, you won't say a thing.
Can I say something, though? Something I've never understood?
Yeah.
And I'm This is probably a wrong thing to say, but
We can always edit
when they
it.
sign the
Or we
NDA,
can also use it against you.
when they
Hollywood.
when they sign the NDA and get paid, shouldn't they shut the fuck up?
Yeah. Shouldn't you not say?
I'm joking.
No, but
I don't understand it. I mean, like, are they breaking a contract?
Yeah.
Well,
that's why there's like a
that's
lot
unethical.
Yeah, I love it. And this again, you're seeing Judaism in real time. You go, but there's a contract. You signed the contract.
It's just weird that you sign the contract, get the money, and then speak out later.
Well, that's so here's to follow that thought. Kind of, you're the bad guy.
Yeah,
because you broke a contract.
Yeah. I mean,
because at the moment, if someone hands me an NDA, I'm going, well, what are we getting into?
Yeah.
You can choose not to sign that.
Right.
You're at the Diddy pool party.
Yeah.
And someone goes, hey, to go in the Diddy pool party, you have to sign this NDA. You go, I don't want to sign this. And they go, you can't come to the pool party. And you go, all right.
I'll sign it.
And then you leave.
But it's interesting that
You don't have a story. You can't get paid later when everyone piles on Diddy.
Everyone seems to have the option to sign it, get the money, and then speak out later, which is interesting.
That's having your cake and eating it too. Dude, it's so funny that this episode has turned into anti-NDAs. We've gone from like all these things to being like, yeah, and you know what? I think fuck the people that break their NDA.
It's just something I've never understood. I mean, I get like the real person's the sexual predator and all that shit.
They're monsters.
But once we resolve all that,
I love that we go.
Bitches broke their contracts.
You're really doing a. That being said,
now that
has to be the name of the episode. That being said,
no, I'm just saying.
Who's breaking the NDA?
Once the dust is settled, the people are in jail. Once we figure that all out, then you're like, okay, these people broke their.
You know what it is? That's the cleanup that needs to happen. Well, you go like, take care of the big problem, but then when you go down the line, go. But you did sign an NDA.
Well, it's also when you hear about people like paying off someone secretly to not talk.
Yeah.
And then you hear about that. So I'm like, why are you paying off someone if we're all going to hear about it?
Or if we're going to be honest, if we want to be a truthful society, got to give the money back.
You should give the money back.
I would not be surprised.
This episode should be called Harvey Weinstein Demands.
Let's keep his name out of the title for the algorithm. We're going to find a more clever way to title this. But in the next 6 months, I would not be surprised if you start seeing people countersue, going, I paid you not to say anything. Well, you said something, ergo vis-a-vis. Give me my money back.
Harvey Weinstein probably is like talking to his lawyer now, going, when do I get my money back? And he's like, you got to wait still a little while.
Yeah. They're just hoping he dies. They go, are you having renal failure yet?
I do deserve the money back.
Yeah. They go, yeah, Harvey, we got bigger fish to fry right now. There's a woman you jerked off in front of that said, you jerked off on her and you said she was going to be Wonder Woman.
It's funny, we don't remember any of the women. I just remember the plant. That was what we all remember.
Who's the plant's publicist?
That's how little women matter. We're like, I don't know their names, but I do know he had a ficus tree he jacked off.
We know the hotel, we know the plant, and the lady, and you go.
Once we heard plant, we were like, no, this is really fucked up.
That's how bad a rap women get. You're like, oh yeah, I don't know, some noisy broad. Anyways, that plant,
Jesus, I don't think semen is good for it.
And just a follow-up question: you wonder if that plant's still in that room?
Yeah.
You wonder if anybody walks by and you go, that's the plant Harvey Weinstein jerked off on.
Well, is semen does that work as hydration for a plant?
They go, this thing's growing like it's uncontrollable.
Because there's some liberal hippie who also jacks off the plant.
They go, it's called cum therapy. I cum in the plant. This is the most natural fertilizer. It's my fertilizer.
It is the best place to come into if you think about it. People are like, it's so gross. He jacked off into a plant. But like, whatever you jack off into is probably going to be gross. I mean, that's probably the best case scenario.
Yeah, the soil, there's probably nutrients that do benefit the plant. Oh, I love this.
What?
Semen is mostly water, amino acids, citric acid, enzyme, and fructose. Not really anything a plant is looking for. That's so funny. So the plant gets cum down and goes, I'm not really looking for any of this.
Top Google search.
Dude, it just sits in a puddle on top of the soil. And you go, what's crazy? That's Weinstein's cum.
Yeah, well, to me, the worst thing he did was, prevent that plant from growing.
Yeah, he really stopped. It wasn't all those women's lives he ruined. It wasn't all the rape as much as it was the plants not getting their nutrients. Yeah, man, I think it's like you get into a business where people are looking for opportunity, or like in anything, in finance, in Hollywood, where there's a lot of money on the line.
Yeah.
People are going to change and bend the rules so that they don't have accountability.
Yes. And then they get away, and then we scapegoat. I mean, someone who is a fucking psycho, but we scapegoat them and crucify them and avoid all the people around them.
Yeah, who helped.
Yeah, and they're still there. Yeah. They help someone else, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you almost like, I'm very interested by this now. Like, I really want to look at every celebrity meltdown and go like, well, who was around you?
Yeah, of course.
Who's just sitting there going, sick, dude? Brittany, buzz it. She's like,
because those people, those crazy narcissists, they have all this money they just throw around.
Yeah.
So, you just want to be there when it falls on you.
And in case you think you can't be bought off, you can be bought off.
Yeah.
There's money where they go like, you don't like, money doesn't buy happiness, but it prevents a lot of worrying.
Yes.
Where you go like, well, I don't have to worry about my bills. That's very nice.
It's and
there's a lot of people now that need money.
Yes.
Like the disparity is happening.
It's insane.
Yeah. Like Bezos can buy off someone and you'll never know, because he can just be like, here's $10 million. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. I guess if there's a certain amount of money, you'll like, if you give someone $1 billion, they'll probably be quiet. Well,
because they can go away. What, you live in the south of France and not bother anyone the rest of your life? And then your life isn't going to go bad because you have $1 billion.
That's a good point. We're like, Bezos hasn't been Me Too. That's probably not because he's a good guy.
You don't get, here's the thing, and they've said this a lot, you don't get to that amount of money being a cool dude.
Right.
A good dude.
And also, like,
you're going to pay everyone off.
Everyone who got Me Too'd on some level was getting a little weak on the throne. You know what I mean? They were a little like Kevin Spacey was just like, all right,
like,
House of Cards, whatever. Lame.
Exactly. Like, it's over.
Harvey Weinstein still like coasting off Scream. You know?
Like, Scream 4 sucked. Get him.
Bill Cosby was 112.
We should just make this episode cut. Like, we just got ended. Where I was like, my phone's up. Raanan, we got to end this.
Oh, shit.
Oh, no, the funny bone's coming down on me. That's what I get. They're like, you want to work Columbus? You're done.
It is funny. Like, it's definitely not that the people more powerful haven't Me Too'd.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
No.
It's not like only, like, it's like the people at the top, they just, we'll have to wait for Amazon to really, like, do
it's
bad
almost,
in the stock.
it's almost like a fiefdom. You're almost like looking at, like, kings getting weak, and someone's like, well, that king's weak, I can take their power.
Right, exactly.
Let me have someone else.
Right.
It's all politics.
Well, I think when Hannibal Buress called out Bill Cosby, everyone's like, we had to wait for another black, really funny comic to replace him before we could get him out.
Where they go, recast it. Which I've heard Hannibal say, like, he regrets doing that.
Yeah.
Because it became a thing where now he's attached to this thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, that. They also never do that in movies, where the hero does something and they're like, I kind of regretted doing that. You know
That's
what
all
I mean?
I'm known for.
Yeah, like John McClane's not like, I shouldn't have taken down Hans Gruber.
Yeah, I had all these other cases that were cool, and no one talks about those.
I had a couple murder cases in New York that I could have solved, and instead I can't go in high buildings now because of my PTSD. He goes, I jumped out of a building and now I'm fucked up.
Have you ever seen Heat?
Yeah.
I always thought it was really funny in Heat that, like, Pacino's so focused on these bank robbers that he completely just lets a serial killer be like bottom of his list.
Like, it's not important.
There's like a serial killer like killing prostitutes.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I want to go after these bank robbers who already did the score.
They already got away with it, but I got to get these guys. And like, he's actively killing sex workers.
You could stop this. And instead, you are going to show up at the bank robbery in that moment and just kill so many bystanders.
So many people get shot in that bank robbing scene.
Insane.
So many people. And by the way, it was the 90s.
Yeah.
So we really cinematically were like, as a fan of movies, you weren't thinking about that. You were just going,
thinking about it, but
God, this looks cool when Val Kilmer.
Cool. But now you watch it, you're like, couldn't they just get the license plates and arrest him later?
I'm pretty sure they could have got him. They probably could have waited, followed him.
That scene is acting like it's Bonnie and Clyde in the 30s, where like if they just get away from that bank, they're good.
Just wait till they're in a quiet road and then block it.
Al Pacino literally has a machine gun.
Yeah.
That he's just blowing away that street.
And people are getting picked off.
Like, people are getting picked off. That is definitively, Al Pacino is the worst cop of all time. People getting killed in that scene is definitively
And the
way
serial
worse.
killer.
Yeah, he lets go a serial killer and he kills bystanders in a way to stop someone robbing an insured bank.
It makes me, FDIC is going to cover up to $100,000 of all of this. But there,
4 cops get killed, 12 bystanders, a girl has a gun to her head by Tom Sizemore.
And he's like, nah, this was the right moment.
The bank's already gotten their money back by the end of the bloodbath.
It always makes me think of the Scott Evil scene in Austin Powers with the laser sharks with lasers. Where he goes, I got a gun upstairs. I just get them, we shoot them, they're dead. And that's exactly what this. There had to have been a cop on the team who goes,
can we just wait?
I think we know where they live. We've been following them. You know who everyone in the crew is.
Well, it's like Reservoir Dogs. It's like, can't they just arrest them before they go into the bank?
Yeah, they got them. These guys are all criminals.
Like, do they have to wait for them to hold up a bank with hostages before?
I really hope movies start doing that. Where it's not going to be good for the movie, but it'll be good for people like us.
Yeah.
Where they just like a movie. Was it Chappelle Show that did movies like the real movie?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
This is how it actually would have happened, and that's really how it is. Where you're like
the dumbest part in Heat, I think.
It's one of my favorite movies.
I like Heat.
They're doing Heat too.
Are they real? Oh yeah, they are. Yeah,
with Adam Driver.
Oh wow, with Pacino, De Niro in it, or no?
I think they're doing like the young versions of them.
Oh, by the way, apparently they had extra scenes where he's actually a coke addict, but they cut them all out.
That makes so much sense.
So that would have just explained everything.
Everything.
So instead, we're like, this man's insane.
Yeah. Everything that you just said would have been debunked if there would have been 2 scenes of Pacino going like this. She got a great father.
But they cut that out, so now they're just like, what is he doing?
I didn't know that. That makes that movie make so much more sense.
Because then you're like, he's being crazy with someone he wants to talk. It's like, that's not the practical way to get someone to talk, to just be an insane person.
Yeah.
You don't want to get someone to help you by being like,
I'm sorry the chicken got dried out. I don't even want to eat. I'm fucking yacked out of my tits. Damn.
The part in Heat that I do love Heat, the part that really annoys me now in terms of how illogical it is when the serial killer guy kills, the people in the beginning.
Yeah.
And they're at the restaurant. So their plan at this point is to kill him, right?
Sure.
They could easily just be friendly with him, wait till later. Instead, De Niro chooses to bash his head in publicly at the table.
Yeah.
So everyone sees it. And then they choose to leave the parking lot. And instead of just waiting for him to be in the car, they trip him and try to do a public execution.
Yeah, are you talking about Wango?
Yeah, when they in the parking lot.
Yeah.
They do a public execution that the cops then see.
Yeah, they go, well, now we have you for murder.
And these are supposed to be the best criminals ever. It's like you shoot a guy when he's not looking. You don't do a public execution in the parking lot.
You know what would make this murder really go over well? Witnesses.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck?
A lot of witnesses.
Yeah, when they killed Joe Pesci in Goodfellas, they're not doing it at the mall.
Yeah, they do it in the basement, a finished basement somewhere in Queens. And also, the idea of someone being at that diner and watching the public execution, they go, and I told her, I can't go, oh my God. It's just stopping that scene where they're like, oh, fuck.
Why does Joe Pesci seem so shocked when he gets in there? I mean, I know it's
well, because he thinks he's getting made.
I know, but why is it so clear that it would have been funny if they have an alternate view where he was going to get made, and he just goes, oh no, and they're like, what? We're about to make you. And he's like, oh, I guess that fish on the wall just seems suspicious.
He goes, I honestly thought there'd be more people here. I just thought this was, you know what? It's like when someone gets upset by their birthday party and they go, I just thought more people would show up.
No, it's just us. It's just the people with us.
I don't know. We're the mafia. We keep secrets.
We are going to make you, yeah.
La Costa Nostra. It's this thing of ours, not of theirs.
I don't know why you got so suspicious. It's just a room that looks like where someone would get made.
I really thought there was going to be a +1.
He really thought
he just awkwardly just oh no. Yeah. What?
If they would have waited to kill him? Oh no. What? Oh yeah.
Oh, no, yeah.
He says it and just feels awkward. He's like, oh shit.
I just would have assumed the people behind me were going to just sit down with me in that moment.
I would have walked. I don't think I would have made a noise. It would have been so unceremonious. I would have been like,
yeah, this is it, right?
And then, I guess that's how I go out.
And then De Niro with the laziest hit of all time. It's over there.
That was the worst. That was like me trying to argue laying down on a couch with my wife. Where I'm like, I don't know. I didn't do anything. You're like, right before a nap, You're like,
he gets so tired of doing hits.
Yeah.
That he's gotten so lazy. He's just like, go over there.
It's down there.
I'm sure one of those guys will rape you or whatever.
And how easy he made it for her to get away.
I know.
She goes, no, I'm okay. He goes, yeah, you know what?
Whatever.
It's like an old cat chasing a mouse. He's like, yeah, whatever.
Fuck. I was hoping one of those construction workers would yell at you.
I don't know. There's no coats. Just get at it if you
The
want.
laziest hit, motioning someone into a bad alley.
Giving up on a hit where you're like,
fuck it.
Yeah, what are you going to do? I'm tired. Sign this NDA. And he goes, you break it, then I'll kill you.
Then I'll fucking kill you.
Yeah, you're going to get the money. Check out Raanan's special, Brave, on YouTube. Thanks for coming by.
Oh, it's always a pleasure.
You rule,
Best.
dude.
And check out Dan's special, one of the best.
Check out my special on the road, on YouTube, on this channel you're watching.
Yeah.